the first thing would be, we're going to handle this similarly to the council meetings that will, if anybody wants to say anything from the floor that's not on the agenda, then this is your time to speak.
You're there or just stand here?
There, please.
Or there where we can hear you and record you, and because we're televised.
My name's Ron Howard. I live in Shasta Drive. Apparently nobody really cares what happens here by the looks of the turnout. Either that or do they think nothing matters? You know, to me, the reason we can't afford, I'd love to have a full-time EMS crew here, but the way it goes, I don't know how you can afford to do it. When I look through the accounts payable over the past couple of years, and you see $300 to $500 phone bills every month, you see $1,000, $2,000 for clothes on a regular basis. I think January of last year, I seen $70,000 on a monitor. And last month, I seen $80,000 on a monitor.
Yes.
And are they worth the money? They are.
I think it's multiple ones that you were seeing on there. That was replacing our entire fleet. That was 5 total. Covered those costs.
They
run about $30,000 a piece. It's not a computer monitor, it's a heart monitor.
It's a heart monitor, I understand that, and a defibrillator, but you go online, you can buy them for $1,000.
Not the kind that you need for the level of service we provide.
They're portables, aren't they?
Brandon, this is just open comments, so we won't be responding to them. We'll hear you, but we won't respond to the comments.
Oh, okay.
In this setting, this is just a chance for you to say something, and if we need,
Well,
and it sounds like we need to follow up with you.
Right,
But-
that's, you know, that's one, like I said, I'd love to see, I think a town needs an EMS, a town this size. The last town I lived in, they had, of course, it was the fire department tied together with the EMS. When an ambulance went out, a truck went out with it. In the town before that, I lived down in Baraboo. We had a regular EMS. My sister-in-law was on it, but it was all volunteer. One person took care of the people, and they volunteer and they get called, they show up. Anyway, that's about all I really had. The money, the monitors, that's what, you know, I see them on there from the same company, Zoll, for $995. A monitor defibrillator, and you know, at $80,000 you could buy 80 of them. So that's just all I had to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll follow up with you.
Okay.
What's not on here, and I think should be, is
The minutes,
review the
Yes, I just
review and
noticed
approve
that.
the minutes from
I know.
last meeting
Just
of
noticed
October
that.
25th.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Moved and second to approve. Any discussion? All right, the minutes are approved as written. Comments and suggestions from EMS staff. Last meeting, we talked about staff, having staff people involved as part of this advisory committee. And I'm guessing that's where we'll discuss that. So are you our staff?
Yeah, we'll have Joe come up and introduce who they've elected to represent them.
Yeah,
Sorry.
consider your staff and these guys are not. They're management, I
Their
guess.
management. I had emailed Joanne earlier, so I didn't know if she was gonna provide that information or not, but I'm more than happy to do it. We sent out a email to the staff members requesting input on who they would like to see as our representatives from the staff side of things versus Josh and Brandon, who obviously represent management. Not that that's a bad thing, but we just wanted to have some day-to-day operators involved in the decision-making. So we broke up into categories. I know that there's 2 that would speak or be present for each meeting, but we had requested 4, 2 primary and 2 alternates in case somebody couldn't make a meeting. So we basically broke that up into job classification. So we requested a vote on a full-time paramedic, a vote on a part-time paramedic, and then 2 votes for EMTs, which are, I guess, considered casual at this point. So myself, Joe Elkin, was elected to represent the full-time staff. Ben Wasmond was voted on to represent the part-time or casual staff as far as paramedics go. And then Dakota Meckelkey, I'm not going to try to spell that last name, but Dakota knows who he is, and Pam DeBruzzi. Dakota and Pam would represent the EMTs. It was Brandon's recommendation, we had spoken offline, that trying to determine who the primary and alternates would be based on who the top vote getters were from the staff members. The staff, based on the numbers, I guess I would be the primary representative for the medics, and Ben would be the alternate if I couldn't make it. And then Dakota would be the primary EMT representative, and Pam DeBruzzi would be the alternate. And it was reiterated to staff that they're welcome to attend any committee meeting at any time and also speak, but those would be the official representatives of the staff.
Okay,
That's all I have from the staff side of things.
great.
And that was for your recommendation, or sorry, my recommendation to the committee and for your approval and consideration. So that's just what the staff input was, but obviously that's up to the committee, how you wanted to handle that or finalize that.
Any comments?
A good idea to me.
I'm good with Joe.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So you're the first, and then Ben's your alternate?
Correct.
Got it, yeah.
And then Dakota would be the primary representing the EMTs, and Pam would be his alternate. And we might just switch that up too, just in case somebody has something to say at a particular meeting and that. I don't know if that's the format that you were looking for. If you want the primary to always be here unless there's an emergency, or if you mind if people kind of flip-flop those roles, or how that would normally be handled in an environment like this.
What's the committee think?
I think you gotta do your best, Joe, to be here at every meeting, so it's consistent.
Here I am.
Great. And anybody else can attend the meeting and speak up, and they can speak on if the topics that are on here, if we're not covering what they need to say, so.
Sure.
But you're the person we're going to be looking to help gather information relative to the staff issues and information, whatever direction that they want to see, so. And we want you sitting here participating in every discussion. That's the other deal, is you're going to be an active participant
Sure.
you're advisory to the committee. I think that's right. Mm-hmm. Advisory to the advisory committee, but, and so you don't have a vote. But it's the five of us that vote on whatever we need to vote on. So we're still working our way through this, but that's the way it's looking now, but thank
Okay.
you. Welcome aboard. Thanks for a job well done.
Thank you.
Take a chair.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Start effective immediately.
Joe, do you need a packet?
I do, actually.
Yep, you're welcome.
So do we need to take a vote on that?
Yeah.
Need
Okay.
a motion and a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that the slate that Joe presented, Joe Elkin as primary, Ben Wassman as alternate paramedic, and then Dakota, and I don't know,
McElkey?
and Pam DeBruzzi as the ENT representatives, with Dakota being primary. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Now it's official. Next item, discussion and possible action on survey of employees. I guess that probably starts with you. You prepared the,
Out of draft. Someone edited it very capably.
Yes, this was edited by Devin Willie. So, yes.
It all looks, all the edits look like improvements to me. I'm not quite sure what to do with item number 6. And I don't know enough to make a suggestion.
In your packet, there's a handout with the staffing models.
Right.
We could include that proposed model as part of the description with the question.
Can we do it very briefly?
Yeah, we can.
We need this to be a one-page, well, it's not gonna be on paper, but a brief survey.
Yeah, we can condense that down.
don't get it down too much, or, you know, if you even allow a link to, create a link to the
Oh, that's a
fuller
good idea.
explanation.
Yeah, that's a
So
good idea.
say, here's the nutshell, and if you need more information, go here, and if you need more than that, go talk to Brandon. So, or something like that. We
Good
don't
idea.
want any confusion about that.
So just so I understand, the one page we have in our packet where it says EMS staffing models, where it says the proposed model, that is the option 3?
Correct.
Okay, and that's been voted on, I think, for the 2018 budget, I assume?
It's in the 2018.
Okay.
So shall we call it 2018 proposed model
we should.
2018, something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Give it a name. Proposed staffing model
Mhm.
2018. Any other comments or suggestions that,
As far as the survey?
yeah?
Well,
yeah,
I
so
guess, then what's the next step?
Send it out. That'd be my.
Who's going to do that?
I will.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, I'll set
Okay.
up that survey
Sorry,
monkey.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Do you know about when, what timeframe?
Probably next week sometime.
Oh, okay. And then give them what? A couple weeks or a week?
Week?
Probably a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to
Any
plan a-
longer than that, and then they've forgotten
Right,
it, so.
And
yeah.
I'm trying to plan a staff meeting for the 28th of November.
Okay,
Do you wanna do it before then, or right?
Kind of like to have it closed before that meeting.
okay.
Yeah.
Is there an easy way you can remind folks halfway through the week
Yes,
before the
can send an
deadline? You
email,
can do
yes.
it,
I
okay.
think Survey
great.
Monkey has that. That's nice.
The HR director has requested that you coordinate with him when that goes out.
okay.
Talk to him first.
Right.
So I don't think we need, don't know if we need to vote on that or not, but everyone agrees that we're gonna go ahead with this model, and it's nice, straightforward, I liked it. Thank you for
Yeah,
getting it done so quickly.
My pleasure.
looks good.
Item 5, discussion of possible action on work groups. I keep avoiding that one because I'm not sure what, I struggle with what work groups is. We need to define that, I guess that would be the first action. And to me, and I've welcomed other people's, really one of the people, work groups are areas that we need to focus on. That there's something we need to look into this item in detail. We need more information, we need more background, we need data perhaps, we need some facts. So those would be, and then somebody create a work group to drill down on that and create the information we need. Is that a satisfactory definition? Agree with, that makes sense?
I think that's exactly right, and I think it follows from that we're not quite ready to do that.
Are there any, I guess I would ask, and I tend to agree with you, that's why I'm struggling with it, is I'm not quite sure what they are, but are there issues, is there an issue or two that we should actually be tackling now, and Brandon, and putting more,
I think
Effort
our
into it.
survey results are gonna kind of drive where we need to go. Probably best to wait till we read that.
Because everything else is in, the billing issues, things, those are already moving forward.
Yeah, the RFP's in there, if anybody has suggestions, I'm open to those, before we send it off to legal to review.
You've sent out a version of this RFP in past years, I assume.
This is,
An earlier, you've sent out an RFP in past years, let me put it that way.
right, it's been quite a while since we've done one, and this one's, a modified one. Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
I
then,
guess I have one thought. I mean, does it make sense to start a subcommittee for the survey results? If somebody wants to, you know, gather them together, summarize them, maybe say, okay, here's what we see are the 3 top issues or something, or do we just want to have all of us look at it on our own? And then it'd be kind of nice to have maybe a few people.
I think that's a good, to me, that's a good suggestion, is that someone, you know, a couple people take a look at it and really do some drill down and some
Mhm.
analysis, and the rest of us can read and say, oh, I got this and that, but
It'll
to say,
speed things up, I think.
when you add the information up, or you
Mhm.
if it doesn't come in prioritization, or I'm not sure what form of information we'll get back, but that seems, that's our next issue. That's a good suggestion.
Do we want to set that survey committee up now or wait until the next?
I'd
Does
say set
anybody-
it up now.
Does anybody want to be on it?
Yeah, there are volunteers.
I'll volunteer since I sort of
And it doesn't have to be,
drafted it.
Committee members.
I'm not willing to do it by myself. I mean,
No.
This is gonna be kind of a subjective cruise through the answers, so at least 2 or 3 of us ought to be looking at it. How many, we're looking at roughly 40 responses max?
Yeah,
Not a huge number.
I'll jump in.
and Joe, did you want to be involved in that or
Sure.
whoever, I mean, whoever wants, I don't want to pick on. Okay,
And
No, it says on the survey who they're all from and everything, right? Or is it
no,
100%
it's meant to be
anonymous?
anonymous.
Yes.
Though there is a question, or there is an item there that says if you're willing to be interviewed about your responses, please email Joanne, right? So, but the survey itself will be anonymous.
guess
If
it's
we have
up
Joe
to,
on it,
what's the
should
HR?
we have a member of management in too, right, Joe? Agree?
I'm wondering if you shouldn't have the HR director.
Look at it first,
That would be,
suppose you gotta do that. Yeah.
I would think so.
Do we have to run that by legal, or you just?
No,
No,
just
but
HR.
And I
That's a
think,
good idea.
that HR should review it first.
So give it to HR for 2-3 days and then we get our hands on it?
I think so.
Why? Why should the HR director look at it first?
Because it's dealing with employees, and he's the expert
Okay.
on.
Or at least bring it to his attention, maybe he wouldn't need it, cause it is anonymous, I mean.
Yeah,
I would think a simultaneous would
I
be
think simultaneous is better.
sufficient,
That's fine.
but yeah, but he should definitely see the results,
Mhm.
the raw information.
So it's us 3 right now?
did we want someone from management or, and then
Oh,
Brandon?
Jenny is.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
All right, I think that closes item 5. We've created a work group and the members.
And the idea is that the 4 of us will read through these and list what we think of are the hottest issues and anything else that comes to our mind, and then report back to this group, correct? Okay.
Exactly.
Moving on to item 6, discussion of possible action on a meeting with EMS staff. Brandon, I assume this is yours?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what Joyce's intent was on that. I know I'm gonna do a staff meeting, and just kinda bring staff to speed on kinda what's going on with this committee and some of our other internal policy updates, equipment
Okay.
updates. Like I said, I'm shooting for November 28th on that. I don't know if that's something where you guys would want to come and introduce yourselves, or what the intent was on that.
I,
Interesting idea.
the conversations that we've had, Joyce and I have sort of, yeah, we should have, somehow, at least have a face to that group, you know, and share what we can share at that point in time and hear what they have to say. I guess that's, we wanna increase the openness and contact.
They're all aware of it. I mean,
No,
they're not?
why would we be?
How'd you get voted on?
There was an email that went out that kind of described briefly what's going on, as far as the committee being formed and all that. So they are aware of that. I don't think they're quite sure exactly the direction it's going right now. And so that'd be a good time to explain what your roles are and,
What would you like? Would you like one or two of these members at your meeting on the 28th or not? I mean, if you have a full,
you know, what I was thinking is if we did a certain time to start the meeting, go through our stuff and have you come in a little bit later, do your introductions. That way you're not, tied down with some of the stuff that we do that might not be of interest.
What time's your staff meeting?
I was gonna do 6:30 on the 28th. That's what we're shooting for. So if you guys would like to join us 7 or so, we could cover our nuts and bolts stuff real quick.
Are we welcome at the start of the meeting? 'Cause
Yeah,
hearing the nuts and bolts might be useful. You know,
Yeah, I'd
just
have- no problem with that.
You think they'd be comfortable having other people here? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. 6:30, I'm available. Do you want to try to have everyone there, or?
is it here or is it over there?
It's across the street where we met last time.
Okay.
Do you want us there?
You're more than welcome to be there, I guess. If you think it's beneficial for you, I think it'd be good for the staff to see who's representing them or trying to,
Mm-hmm.
work on this project.
What do you think, Joe?
I'd like to see people there. I don't know the last time we had a staff meeting, so I guess I don't know how they go.
Who wants to go?
I'm planning on being there.
Sure, I'll go. Brandon, would you rather have us come at 7 or 7:30? You can say.
No, it doesn't matter either way to me. I just, didn't know if you'd want to sit through the equipment updates and stuff like that.
Good point.
You're more than welcome to be there.
I think it sounds interesting, but,
Mhm.
and it said it starts at 6:30?
6:30, yeah.
Okay.
Very good. I would chat with Joyce and put together something that sort of overviews who we are and why we're here and introduce ourselves and just say, we're not trying to sell anything. We're saying, this is it, this is where we're at, and this is what we're doing, this is how we intend to work, and do you have any questions?
Mhm.
The 28th, would we have any survey results done by then?
We should.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our goal.
Mhm.
Quick. but Thanksgiving, but it should be fine.
I'm just thinking protocol, if we have to review that with anybody else beforehand, but I don't,
I don't think so.
That's gonna be tight. It's the 9th. Would you be able to get it out by the 13th, the survey?
I think so.
So we'd have it back by the 20th, possibly in our hands the 22nd? That'd be fine.
Okay.
You agree, right? Yeah.
I don't see a difficulty with that.
obviously, there's a lot of work that will go into any solutions or any action,
Yeah.
but here's what you said. Here's what we heard you say. Did we hear, did we hear it correctly?
Yeah.
I guess at this point, it's kind of like findings. Verification. Okay. At least what I want to show, what we can show there is that we're taking some, the action, we're still continuing to move forward. This hasn't been filed already, and the next steps will be taking action on the points. EMS items for discussion only, things we can't take action on or vote on, but issues that have come up, things we need to know about or put on the agenda for next meeting. Is there anything that Brandon, Josh?
Can't think of
Joe.
anything. There's an EMS commission meeting next Wednesday. You're welcome to attend that, 7:30, right here.
AM.
AM, yep. Bright and early.
I saw the agenda just came out. You just
Yes,
sent the agenda
yes,
out
I
today.
did send it to everyone, yes.
There, so do we all get a copy of it? I know I did,
Yes,
but.
yes, I sent it to the whole ad
Awesome.
hoc committee.
Awesome.
Mhm. And the council.
Okay. Future agenda items.
When will we meet next?
That's the 29th, I believe.
29.
Yeah.
Same time, right? 6:30.
Yes.
6:30 here.
Mhm.
Okay, so obviously the survey will be on the agenda,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and any other information. That will probably be the primary, I would guess, the primary would spend a lot of time.
Sure.
Would hope we'd be able to spend a lot of time talking about it and creating some action, direction
Mhm.
out of that. Is there anything else?
I guess I have one thing. I don't know if I should have brought it up at one of these earlier items. We need to talk about the financials at some point. Should we have that as a future agenda item? Because I have a lot of questions,
All right.
and some of those maybe can be answered, with Brandon, maybe. I don't know how to go about that, just to better understand the dollars and I mean, I assume everybody else wants to hear that too, so.
Some of that might be easier if you could prepare some of the questions in advance so we can get the
Sure.
numbers ahead of time.
Okay, that'll be real simple, like, okay, what is your response time? What percent, roughly, if you have that? I assume you measure that,
Yep, we have,
that kind of thing.
yep, we can
So,
pull data. It takes a little bit of time.
Measurements, yeah.
How do we measure performance? Okay.
One thing I do want to talk about is overtime. I assume that's a big part of the budget, I'm guessing. Okay, so I'll have to take a look at that a little bit.
It
Absolutely.
is a big part of the budget, starting in 2018.
Yep.
Because the model that is in the budget for 2018 is the full-time paramedics working 48-hour weeks. And so they will be on 8 hours of overtime every week. And there was a analysis done of the cost of insurance versus the overtime, and it was cheaper at this point to do the overtime instead of hiring another employee.
Okay, that answers that question, because generally, as an ex-budget analyst, overtime's like, yeah. But that, yeah, that actually makes some sense.
And so it decreases the number of FTEs needed and
Right.
increases your
And
benefits.
we're running right now a 12-hour shift, and so that's a 36 hours or 48, when you do that math.
Yeah, I was trying to do all the math going back from what you had on here, and that's what I was coming up with. I thought, okay, everybody must have 12-hour shifts. So does that mean that everybody gets 4 hours of overtime because they're working 12 hours in one 24-hour period?
Right now, they work at 36. They're .9.
Oh, so it's by week, not by day?
Right.
I didn't know what the Wisconsin or the federal law was and having to pay overtime for
Yep,
that.
so, yeah, right now, they're all .9.
Okay, so they don't get overtime for the
Over 40.
12-hour shifts? Just because you work a 12-hour shift doesn't mean you get overtime?
Correct.
Right.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
A thought here, and I'm not trying to discourage the broad discussion, but that maybe those are who you're interested, meet with Brandon and Brenda.
The bees.
And talk about it, and then perhaps the key points, the key learnings out of that are important.
Should
And
we
come
have a
back and we talk, and we can review it, say, this is important, this is why it's important, and this is how it's handled. That's a thought.
I
What do
agree.
you
Should
think?
we have another working group or subcommittee for kind of the finances piece of it?
Yeah, I
You
would
kinda
say.
need, you need a group just for the finances.
I'd like to be on that.
Sounds like you're heading it.
Okay.
No, I think it's, having sat through several of those discussions over the last year, it works better in a smaller group.
Right.
But then I think if we came back and really explained, created the
Mhm.
explanation out of that, that's going to make sense.
Mhm.
Then if that raises any additional questions, I don't know, am I trying to shortcut this too much?
No, I think
No,
that's a
you're
good
doing it
decision.
right.
Yeah, because a lot of my questions, everybody's been have talked about quite a bit in the past,
Or
so
we don't
there's
have
no
a clue-
need to
Or we
read.
don't have a clue what you're talking about.
But yeah, so I think that'd be good to set up some kind of a finance group.
Yeah, any objections to this, setting up this finance group and you being the head of that?
Sure.
Who else would like to work with Colleen on that?
Obviously, we'll be involved.
Yeah. I suspect Joyce would want to be on there, but I'm not,
I think she probably will,
yeah.
just because that's the person I called to try to get a lot of these questions answered, and now I understand she's on vacation. So
So we'll nominate Joyce for
yes,
that.
I think that's what happens when you're not here. You get nominated.
So at finance, you're talking about billing, labor, collections, budget, everything.
I'm
Or are
not
you looking for
sure
something
if we're looking at
specific?
all of those things for sure. I'm looking at the expense piece of it. Can get quite complicated. So there's the expenses, there's billing,
Yep.
and collection.
Yep.
And what other, and then there's the township,
Yep.
I guess it would be all of it.
There's a lot.
It's a lot. So I'll have to think about that and see if
But at least you
one
can get
section gets to
started
be
in it.
really big, then we'll have maybe another committee just to deal with like maybe what should be the share of other townships, or, even though I know I don't think anybody would wanna be on that one.
Yeah, that's the council's issue.
Yeah, okay, well, not touch that one.
If there are anything, suggestions come out of that, but it's
Right.
definitely going to be, any information that would help guide us in there would be welcomed. But,
It would primarily be the revenue and the expenses at this point, is how I see
yeah,
it.
I think that's the way to start, how operational, how things are working.
Mm-hmm.
And Brenda and Josh are certainly the people that live with that on a daily basis, so.
You just got elected.
What? Did I say Josh? Sorry, Josh. Brenda and Brandon. Josh is always welcome. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a good one. We really need to-
Okay.
That's important for this group to understand that.
Unfortunately, I have one more. I guess I don't understand the Milwaukee, well, I mean, I understand it, but I don't know what the status is. I don't know what we want to do with that. Is someone familiar with, the whole idea of going to the state and having, that
Yeah.
SPA and,
I passed that on to our representatives and haven't heard anything back.
okay.
So it's time to follow up and say, what's going on? Is this a
seems
viable
like-
option?
Kind of a no-brainer, win-win.
I-
Doesn't cost the state anything and would really help us out. So,
It
that'd be good.
seems that way, yeah. But, yeah, I will follow up on that
Okay,
and
okay.
come back with a better report. Anything else? Thanks.
If I came up with questions about equipment and stuff, was that something that would have to go through the board here, or is it something I could just call them and ask them questions about it, like?
I don't think we have to as long as we don't overburden them, I don't think we wanna have to wait for our meetings to ask in,
Just simple
Rather
questions, I don't wanna overstep my
straightforward.
boundary, I'm just
yeah.
curious about some things, that's it.
Would you mind sharing your findings then? Because I'd be interested in hearing
Yeah,
what your
yeah,
questions are and what you find out
just,
to better
where's everything
understand.
gonna be in 5 years, where's it gonna be in 10 years, how long does equipment last? I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, it's not cheap.
We
Mhm.
have a 5-year equipment capital outlay for EMS. Would you like me to send that out to the group? And-
That'd be
And
great,
that would probably prompt your more questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And that's what kind of drove our projections.
Up.
Yep.
I saw that in, was it a P&L we had last week last month? I saw something about that.
It was in that.
The budget.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, the budget, yeah.
All items for the next meeting. Okay. Anything else? I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.